Welcome to episode number 200 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, and all of you public relations and communications professionals. We're recording live on YouTube on September 7, 2017. A handful of topics to talk about this week: Russian psyops, values job search, calling BS, data viz journalism, Harvey hoaxes, Trumpy, cloudvertising, propaganda dance, unlimited bad data, some cool tools, and some stats you'll want to know. BL kicks it off with the best story of the week. BL, what was that story?
Well, first of all, happy 200, Dave.
Happy 200.
Yeah, apropos life at the moment and the news in particular. This is from Howard Rheingold and Google Big Think, and this is the college course for our times. It's Calling Bullshit. And taking a course with the word bullshit in the title is a cynical student's dream. And the University of Washington professors Carl Bergenstrom and Jevin West are making that a reality. Their 10-week seminar called Calling Bullshit in the Age of Big Data begins in March. The synopsis is listed succinctly as "Our world is saturated with bullshit. Learn to detect and diffuse it." And the professors say, "Our aim is to teach you how to think critically about the data and models that constitute evidence in the social and natural sciences." And of course, this is perfect for our fact-challenged times, where charges of fake news and alternative facts are part of common public conversation. And if you can't take the course in person, this is the cool part, you can follow it online because its syllabus, the readings, and recordings of the lectures will be available to the general public. So we'll have links in there, and I will also have links to Howard Rheingold's crap detection resources, which we've listed before, and the course is The Fine Art of Baloney Detection. So how wonderful is that?
Yeah, absolutely needed.
Totally needed.
I was shocked to find out that one of our young employees at one time, we were doing a survey for a client, and she didn't really understand how to read a survey. She didn't understand margin of error and stuff like that. So if you don't understand how data works, then you don't understand what's crap and what's not. A great book to read. I read it in college, How to Lie with Statistics.
That is a great book. We had to read that in college too, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the Hemingway quote. I think I said it last week, but I'll say it again. Every good writer needs an absolutely foolproof bullshit detector.
Totally true.
Everybody who consumes media needs that. It's part of the culture these days. Yeah. So speaking of culture, though, here's a interesting job site. There's tons of job sites out there, but this one in particular specializes in finding a cultural fit between prospective employee, and employer. This is by a Next Web article by Matthew Hughes. Key Values is the name of the site, and it emphasizes corporate culture above all else. The job listings don't have salaries. Instead, they talk about what employees can expect from the day-to-day as an employee. Companies can pick 8 attributes for their job listings that they feel are relevant for their company, from a list that encompasses everything from work-life balance to organizational structure of the company. It was founded by a woman named Lynn Tai, who is a neuroscience PhD dropout and a software engineer, who she has long thought about the way culture affects the working day. And in her first day, for example, she worked 80 to 90 hours each week. After she left that job, she looked for a job where there was a lot of parents, which she considered a proxy for work-life balance, right?
Not necessarily, but a good
exactly, yep. The quote from the article is from her is, "I love to compare it to dating because it really is the same to me. For example, after you break up, you tend to be hyper aware and seek out things you lacked in your previous relationship. It's the same with jobs." Can that make sense, right? She interviews companies and then writes their profiles for them because she's found that companies have a really difficult time discussing their culture. There's no revenue plan. Nor the engineers nor the companies are charged to use the site. But she says that could change, and she's looking into doing either subscription or commission-based models. So interesting.
Say the name again, Dave.
Key Values is the name of the site.
I wish I had had that site when I had my last job, I got to tell you. So,
right, I
know. So as if Harvey, the hurricane, wasn't bad enough, there were all these viral hoaxes, and some of them were kind of funny. This is from a Washington Post article by Abby Olheiser. And, you know, social media is simultaneously the best and the worst thing in the middle of a major disaster. And those in the path of danger use Facebook to post whether they're safe or to post calls for help. Other people follow the near real-time stream of news and updates, or, you know, organized to help people. And then there are people who use a natural disaster to try and make a hoax go viral. It's a relentless and inevitable aspect of what happens online during a major disaster. So after Harvey began to unfold along the Texas coast, the Washington Post lined up all the hoaxes and unverified viral stories. And for example, one of the things that went around was a picture of a shark swimming down the street in the you know, the flood. And actually, that was not a shark swimming down the street, nor was it a shark swimming down the street in Hurricane Matthew or Sandy. And, you know, most of the other pictures of sharks swimming where people are fake also. So that was one of them that just sort of really stood out. But there's scores of them that happen, and, you know, they're your only opportunity to laugh at the hurricane.
Yeah, I mean, the shark one is kind of believable, right? I mean, everybody's watching the video, the coverage of the flood, and it's
except that they can't live in fresh water,
right?
They have to have salt water, so they won't be in a river.
The water's coming in from the ocean. It's
yeah, you could make that theory. So give us one of yours, Dave.
So this is an interesting example of data visualization and journalism and storytelling all put together. This is by a TechCrunch article by Daryl Etherington. Google has a new website that has compiled search data and built by its news lab, working with an interactive visual data journalist. And the site uses how-to search data, so how-to searches, which are a huge category of searches, from Google Trends, and allows users to enter whatever country they want into the field and see what the top how-to searches are for their region, but it does it in an essay format. So it actually, the site looks like the site is actually called How to Fix a Toilet. And the site looks like an essay on how to fix a toilet, but it uses storytelling about the essay writer having to need to fix the toilet and doing how-to searches and discovering all the search data of how-to searches, and explains how to searches work in various categories. And there's a massive variety of them, such as how to fix a toilet, and other household stuff, how to fix a light bulb, how to fix a wall, cooking-related how-to searches, how to boil an egg, as if people didn't know that already.
Oh, please, but there are people who do not know how to boil an egg. I married one.
How to cook a turkey. You can imagine those spike during a certain month of the year, right? How to make Jell-O shots. There's coming-of-age searches, how to kiss, how to get a girl to like you, how to ask a girl out, how to ask someone to prom. I totally wish that I had search engines when I was a teenager, because I had absolutely no clue.
None of us did, Dave. None of us did.
But it's a superb example of storytelling with data visualization. The data visualization part is embedded data that you hover over, and you can see the relative number of how-to searches for a particular item. So if it was how to kiss, you could hover over that aspect of it and see how many searches there were for how to kiss. So that's it's a great example. We'll put a link in the show notes so people can see it for themselves.
For how to kiss.
For a data visualization and storytelling end, if they want.
Okay, so there are two really hilarious videos that make fun of Trump this week, and it's from Project parody, and they're taking aim at Trumpy. And they posted 2 videos making fun of him in parodies of The Boxer and The Sounds of Silence. And this site was founded in August of this year by Don Karen and Greg Gower. And parody in our contemporary culture is often largely misunderstood, and it's sometimes viewed as shallow sniping or cowardly criticism. But power and parody can be like that, but they say that's not what we're up to here. Parody's been an active and important part of contemporary culture really for centuries, in literature and theater, in art, in film, and rarely does a day go by when an example of a parody is not widely visible. And sometimes they're seen as ridicule, but they also are often flattery. How you choose to view it says more about you than it does about the parody itself. And we will post these parodies. They are hilarious.
Very good. Tonight, I've been waiting in anticipation for tonight, BL, and it's not because it's the 200th episode of our podcast, however much I take pride in that. It is the NFL season starts for real tonight.
And you're here. I'm so flattered.
I'm passing up, but so I have we've been last year, the Twitter had a streaming deal with the NFL for Thursday night games. Amazon outbid everybody now for Thursday night games. So Amazon Prime subscribers can watch NFL streaming on Thursday night games. However, they'll have to wait till next week because the first game of the week is not part of Amazon Prime deal. It's not included in the streaming deal. But that's all right, BL, because the game tonight is between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New England Traders. Anyway, so I'm not going to watch.
Well, I met somebody today who was like this huge NFL fan, and she knew all the players, and you and she could have great conversations.
Okay.
I had no idea who any of these people were. So I came across a new form of advertising, or new to me anyway, called cloudvertising. And the source of this was Kevin Lee on Internet Old Timers. And the site says, why advertise like everyone else when you can cloudvertise? And what they do is they take ice and they make pictures that they then use lights to place on clouds. So they look like clouds, although they're not actually clouds. So you're advertising your image on clouds. They're really very funny, but it doesn't beat my all-time favorite form of advertising, which was a farmer who had a sign on his cow who was laying down in the field when we went by, and it said, "Put your sign on our bovine."
That's good. Now, if they could actually create real clouds in the sky that were in the form of a logo or something, that would be pretty amazing. So,
well, they say they do, but when you look at how they do it, they're really just what do you call that when they put it up in the air? Projecting, right? Yeah. Words. They project it onto clouds, and it looks like it's part of the cloud, and it's very cool. And it can be a logo or a word or whatever, and it's cool looking, but it's just silly.
So I'm done with good stuff. If you got more, go ahead.
No, that was my last good one. But I do have another crazy one. And you may have seen this. Everybody may have seen this. North Korea put a propaganda dance video on YouTube. This is from a Mashable story by Nicole Gallucci. And it's just mind-blowing. It begins by showing photographs of armed Korean troops, and there's dramatic music in the background. I think there's an orchestra, and the movie-esque presentation makes it hard to take the thing seriously. But then the video cuts to men in uniform performing this choreographed dance, and it showcases footage and photographs of military attacks, and between clips of these really impressive dance moves that they do. And, given his obsession with ratings and TV, isn't this more likely to engage Trump than other forms of communication? So my guess is it was aimed at him. Who knows? But it's a really bizarre thing to watch. I have to say, I watched it twice because I could not believe what I was looking at. It was that crazy.
There are some very bizarre videos that come out of that country, that's for sure.
Really? I mean, what? But I think that was aimed at Trump and his TV obsession.
Speaking of obsession, this is an obsession that has I've been obsessed with this story for a long time. Facebook, everybody knows by now, the biggest story in social media this week, I think, has admitted that they sold $100,000 of advertising to Russian fake Facebook accounts. It's from a Washington Post article by Carol Leoning, Rosalind Helderman, and Tom Hamburger, who used to be a Minneapolis Star Tribune reporter. So they broke the story. 470 Facebook accounts devoted to divisive social issues like race, gay rights, gun control, immigration, spend $100,000 on 3,000 plus Facebook ads targeting Americans, attempt to influence the presidential election. A quarter of the ads were geographically targeted, and the accounts in question were operated out of Russia by a Russian company called the Internet Research Agency, which I believe is connected to the KGB or whatever the successor of that was. And they're known for using troll accounts to post on social media and comment on news sites. Facebook has shut down the accounts. They say they've also found an additional 50,000 in political ad spending from other accounts connected to Russia. Adam Schiff, Representative Adam Schiff, is quoted in the article saying, "Left unanswered is what we received from Facebook. Beyond the scope of what they are able to determine is whether there was any coordination between social media trolls and the campaign. We have to get to the bottom of that." He, of course, is the leading Democrat in the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, which is allegedly looking into the Russian meddling in our election. But I know, BL, I'll let you respond to this. You have a lot to talk about. I do too, but have the honors. Go ahead.
Well, you know, what is astounding to me is that it took 10 months for Mark Zuckerberg to admit that this happened. And, you know, Facebook tracks everything. Facebook knows when you breathe. Facebook knows everything about what you do when you're on that platform. And the thing that's really strange about it is that, you know, even though it's the world's largest social network, what happens on Facebook pretty much stays on Facebook. So, like, let's say an advertiser micro-targets a group like 40-year-old female motorcycle riders in Nashville, Tennessee, which has a Facebook audience of approximately 1,300 people, and they use a misleading ad, and those ads only stay up for a certain period of time, then it's unlikely that anybody other than the bikers will ever see those ads. And the Trump ads may have been effective, and since they supposedly only appeared on Facebook, which I find hard to believe, nobody can actually say for sure if they ran what they said or who they targeted. And, you know, I just find that really outrageous. And today, ProPublica launched a crowdsourcing tool called Political Ad Collector, or PAC, that'll gather political ads from Facebook as people see them. And as they say, during the 2016 campaign, Trump operatives bragged to the press that they tried to dissuade African Americans from voting by targeting them with Facebook posts titled "Hillary thinks African Americans are super predators." So if similar ads were to appear on television or in newspapers or in magazines, advocacy groups and journalists would fact check them. But first you have to see them and know that they're there. And, you know, I just think that this is reprehensible that it took this long for them to admit this, and I think it is an admission rather than a discovery, and it makes me take a step back in the thought of Mark Zuckerberg being in politics.
Yeah, well, I had serious reservations about that concept in particular, Zuckerberg running for president or politics, because I understand how powerful Facebook advertising is, and I've got to actually put together a presentation, a half-hour presentation on just this topic. So I've got a lot to say about it. But Facebook does everything, as you said, what goes on Facebook stays on Facebook. Everything is data-based. So they have all the data related to these ad campaigns, and what we don't know is what the targeting criteria was like. So what I'd like to see is what the targeting criteria was like for the advertisements. Did they upload any emails to create to target people based on their email addresses? If so, were those emails the same emails that were in the WikiLeaks hack of DNC data? That would show a correlation between what we know about what was going on in the Trump campaign, and then were they using Facebook quizzes? So one way that the Trump campaign targeted ads on Facebook was through quizzes, taking quizzes, those Facebook quizzes, that personality tests. They use a psychologically sound personality profiling methodology called OCEAN. It's an acronym that stands for openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. If you ask the right questions, you can determine what personality profile people fit into and target ads based on their persuasiveness on their personality profile. So it's very, very sophisticated, and it's a methodology that was created by a company called Cambridge Analytica, on whose board sits Steve Bannon, and is funded by Robert Mercer, who is basically Bannon's patron. And this Mercer guy is a billionaire, hyper-conservative, and computer scientist who is one of the early advocates and innovators of artificial intelligence. So this guy knows exactly what he's doing, and they're using.
And Zuckerberg
Facebook.
Knew exactly what they were doing. I can't believe that Facebook did not know this.
Well, I don't know that Zuckerberg knew exactly what they were doing. I think it was silly that he said the fact that Facebook had claimed that Facebook had no influence on the election silly. That
was beyond silly. That was just really not. That was beyond silly. But you know, every time you take a quiz on Facebook, you are giving all of your followers public information, including everything they have made public in their profiles, to whomever is publishing that quiz. So it's a privacy nightmare to even do any of those things anyway. And you can bet that they got a ton of information out of those quizzes because people love that stuff.
Well, Cambridge Analytica claims to have the richest set of data on every voter in America, because they take all that quiz data, and they claim to be able to target people based on like one Facebook like. So that, coupled with a bunch of data that they bought, the voter files and all that, it is a hyper targeting. I mean, it was, and nobody sees it except the people who are intended to see the ads. So
well, that's the problem, and then they disappear. So it's not like you can go and look at them now, because you can't.
Yeah, and if a presidential election is a nationwide conversation about what our priorities are, having a great deal of that conversation happen outside of the public view,
and with no scrutiny,
it's not an election.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I agree with what you said, that they're allegedly investigating the Russian connection because nothing seems to be happening. So I would like to see your presentation. That sounds very interesting.
I intend on recording it. I've given it to our staff, but I intend on creating a video out of it. So when I do, I'll let you know.
Very cool. So very uncool is Verizon has now got taken their good unlimited data plan, which was one of the better ones, and they've made it into 3 bad unlimited plans. This is from The Verge, from Chris Welch, and unlike the relatively straightforward unlimited plan that Verizon had introduced in February, they have 3 new monthly plans chock full of fine print and caveats, and every single customer, no matter which plan, is about to face significant new limits and restrictions around video streaming, which is what so many of us do online and on our phones and other devices. And in a move absolutely sure to anger net neutrality advocates, their regular Go Unlimited plan, this is sickening, throttles all smartphone video stream to 480p DVD quality. And there's no way you can watch 1080p on a phone anymore, which is like normal resolution for a YouTube or other video. So before this, there weren't any limits on mobile video. And existing postpaid customers can keep their plan, but some things are even going to change for them. And what's most likely to make Verizon customers the most unhappy is no matter what plan you're on, whether it's old, grandfathered, unlimited data, or one of their new tiered unlimited plans, moving forward, they say, HD video on all legacy plans will also match Beyond Unlimited's HD quality, which is no quality. So soon you'll be limited to a maximum video quality of 720p streaming on phones and 1820 if you've got a tablet on your plan. Nobody can go any higher. So there will be no high resolution video on any device. And the thing is, like, Verizon's not the only one doing this. It was perhaps inevitable because nearly all of their rivals have already put some kind of cap on video quality and throttling the use of. It's horrifying.
Well, unless you buy their content packages. So Verizon,
well, I'm not going to do that.
Well, this is the very definition. I'm making your point for you, BL. This is the very definition of subverting the net neutrality.
Exactly.
You buy their content things, and then Verizon has live streaming of NFL games, so you can get high quality streams of their content packages if you buy them. So,
but they're separate from your unlimited plan, right?
Well, right now I get live streaming with NFL games, but I'm sure that would change.
That's not going to go on forever. Yeah. So do you have any more bad news, Dave?
I do not.
Okay, that brings us then to shiny new objects, of which you have many. Why don't you tell us one?
Yeah, you'll really like this one. It's brilliant. I got a demonstration of this app from a woman who sits on the board of the company, makes the app today. So I haven't tried it out personally, but I saw it in action. It's so awesome. It's a mobile app that lets you make video calls to your pet while you're at work. So, the video mounted to the wall, so you buy a video and you mount it to the wall at pet eye level, right? And through the app you can call the video and it'll ring. Your dog gets trained to the ring to come to watch, right? Pavlov's dog, right? So when it rings, your dog becomes familiar with the ring and knows that you'll be talking to it. So it'll come and see the sit in front of the camera. So you can talk to your pet and they'll see and hear you, and you can remotely dispense a treat for them too.
That's my favorite part. Yeah.
There's a treat dispenser. You have to buy the treats from them because they're very special shaped, of course, and they work with the dispenser and everything. So it's a good revenue stream. There's a paw button, so there's a little button that they can
for the pet to do.
They can for the pet to step on to call you, so the pet can call you. It's called the PawCall. You can record the videos and share them on social and everything. It's the app is available on Android and iOS. Pricing starts at $289, which includes the mounted camera and the PawCall, and then there's the extras. There's the food dispenser and stuff and everything. So that's pretty awesome. I saw it in action. I was like, wow.
It is awesome. I had covered that on Paw Fun, but a friend of mine has that because she's got this really old dog, and she was at work and she saw that the dog had fallen over and it couldn't get up, and she rushed home the dog had a stroke. So she rushed home to take care of the dog, and she wouldn't have known otherwise, and she got it to the hospital. So yeah, but I mean, it's just kind of funny to think of people sitting at work going, "Hi, Benny, how are you?" Mommy's calling.
It's perfect. It's exactly how people feel about their pets nowadays. Pets used to be they were for protection, and then they became work animals, and then they got into the house and they became domestic or more domesticated anyway. But and now they're just part of the family. Right?
Well, Dave, Benny's 12th birthday happened last weekend, and I baked him a cupcake for all his friends, and we had a party at the boathouse. I made a peanut butter and banana cupcake frosted with cream cheese, and I mean, we all tried it. It's at like rocks, but the dogs loved it. That's my boy. He wore his tie, So I found an app that was really fun too. It's called 500px, and it lets you search images by drawing them. So it's called Splash, this part of it, and so you can browse a subset of their images in their stock photos by getting creative with color that you put on a canvas. So I tried it. I was trying to make a rainbow, but I couldn't control my mouse well enough to do it, but it still gave me pictures with all the colors that I tried. And if you're better at doing it, you can really get like pictures of particular people. And very cool, very, very cool and fun. And, you know, it gives you scores of images. Like I just used like 4 colors trying to make a rainbow, and it gave me maybe 200 images. And you can choose landscape, animals, cities that have those colors. And if you just make your canvas blue, it'll show you all the pictures in those categories with blue backgrounds. Very cool.
That's very cool. It's an excellent example of how sophisticated computer vision has gotten to.
Yeah.
Right? And my next one is actually an example of that as well. So this is a web app called Logo Rank. I found it through a Boing Boing article by Andrea James. So Logo Rank is an AI system that understands logo design. It's trained on 1 million+ logo images, and it's there to give you tips and ideas for logo design, but it can also be used to see if your designer took inspiration from stock icons.
Oh, how funny.
It ranks you. So you upload your logo to it, or the image you want to rank, and it ranks on uniqueness, the criteria: uniqueness, legibility, color, and contrast. So fun thing to try out. I haven't tried it out with our logo yet, but
oh, that is fun. So I came across one called Bumpers, and it's an iTunes app. It's also for Android, and it lets you turn your mobile phone into a mobile podcast recording studio. You can create, record, edit, share, combine podcasts, and then, you know, broadcast your podcast episodes. And you can set up a Bumper account, which gives you an option for a custom URL for your podcast channel. And from there, you start recording on your iPhone. And then the software automatically chops the recording into more manageable chunks based on pauses. You can add labels for easier sorting. You can blend multiple recordings together. And once it's done, you publish the finished project online. And it lets you follow and discover other creators and their podcasts. Really cool, and it's free.
Interesting. Wow. Oh, very cool.
We've come a long way, baby.
Exactly. Any more tools?
That's it for me.
Let's wrap this 200th episode up with some daily numbers.
We've been doing this for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should have had Albert join us today.
Exactly. Call out culture. Your brand is what people say it is, right? This is from Sprout Social's Q3 Social Index. 55% of consumers call out brands on social to get a resolution or response. 4 in 5 consumers think social has increased accountability for businesses. Ways in which consumers believe social has increased accountability for brands. 80% say it uncovers unfair treatment. 75% say it gives consumers power. 70% say it encourages transparency. 65% say it amplifies issues, and 55% says it helps employees share experiences. So there you go. Some data from Sprout Social.
Well, and I think brands that aren't paying attention to social media for consumer happiness are really making a big mistake. Right. Because, you know, if you're not paying attention, what can happen in a very short time can be very detrimental to your brand. So that brings us to the end of episode 200 of the Beyond Social Media Show. Links to everything we discussed tonight will be on our blog at beyondsocialmediashow.com/200. We hope you'll leave us a review and let us know what you think. And I am BL Ochman. On Twitter, I am at What's Next. I blog at whatsnextblog.com. I am What's Next Blog on YouTube, and I run a company called Fun Walkers, which makes funny license plates for walkers and scooters. And my charming co-host is David Erickson, and on Twitter he's D Erickson, and he blogs at estrategyblog.com and creativepr.com/blog, both of which are fabulous. And he's eStrategy on YouTube. And the show is beyondsocialmediashow.com. We're on YouTube as Beyond Social Media Show. We're on Twitter as BS Media Show, because we try not to take ourselves too seriously. And we're Beyond Social Media Show on iTunes, where we hope you will subscribe and leave us a review. We're also on Stitcher, we're on iHeartRadio, and we're on Google Play. And we will be back next week, same time, same station. Thanks for watching.